My girlfriend cheated and said I needed a real man, while my friends laughed. I stayed silent, left, and built a life they'll never touch. Now she's broke, alone, and begging to come back. Hey Reddit! My ex cheated on me in front of all our friends, laughed about it, and thought I was done. I didn't yell, didn't argue, just walked away. They thought that was the end of it. Nah. Before we get to how it all flipped, let me start from the beginning. I, Austin, 27 male, work as a freelance journalist covering local news and the occasional human interest story. Pay isn't great, but it keeps the lights on, and I've been slowly pitching bigger publications, hoping to land something steady one day. Writing's always been my thing. Words come easier than small talk. Daisy and I had been together almost 3 years. Met her at a bookstore back in college. She was browsing the poetry section, sat down on the floor reading Sylvia Plath. I made some dumb comment about how Ariel was the most depressing book anyone could pick for a sunny day. She smirked, told me I was probably right, and we ended up grabbing coffee after. That was it. We clicked fast. Back then, she said she liked that I was thoughtful, that I wasn't loud or constantly chasing attention like some of the guys she knew. She used to bring me lunch when I was on deadlines, read my drafts before I sent them to editors. We weren't glamorous, but it felt real. Over the last year, things shifted. She started going out with friends more, said she needed to have a life outside of us. Fair enough. I was busy chasing stories, covering town hall meetings, writing late into the night. I figured the distance was just part of growing up. Friday night, our friend group met up like always. Same small place with beat-up booths and good fries. There was Ben, my closest friend since college. Maya, sarcastic but fun. Chris, quiet guy who never picked sides. And a couple others. Daisy wore my jacket like she always did when she forgot hers. We ordered food, started talking about work, movies, random stuff. Halfway through, Daisy cleared her throat. I think this is as good a time as any, to be honest, she said, loud enough to cut through the noise. The table went quiet. She looked straight at me. I cheated, she said flatly. I didn't say anything, just waited. She leaned back, smirked. I needed a real man, you know. Like this was some performance and I was supposed to lose it for the audience. Ben raised his glass. Savage, he said, grinning. But honest. I respect it. The others laughed awkwardly. Maya shook her head like she saw it coming. I just sat there. No yelling, no questions. Then Caleb walked in. That's the guy she cheated with. Works at a bar. Loud. Always has some story about the grind and hustle, but mostly just talks about himself. He slapped Ben on the shoulder, nodded at Daisy like he belonged there. That's when I realized they probably all knew. One of the guys at the table pulled out his phone, started recording like this was content worth saving. I stood up, grabbed my keys. Daisy smirked again. You're just gonna leave? I looked at her, then at Ben, then at Caleb. Nobody looked embarrassed. Nobody stopped me. On my way out, the bartender, older guy who's seen our group there 100 times, leaned over the counter and said quietly, "Walk away. Let success talk for you." Didn't say anything back. Just left. Next morning, my phone was full of notifications. Group chat blowing up, people sending the video around like it was a sports highlight. I deleted the chat, blocked Daisy, Ben, everyone who laughed. I didn't block phone numbers. I just didn't want to see them on my feeds. Spent the day in my apartment, didn't eat much, didn't write a single word. Just sat there thinking about how fast people can flip on you. By evening, I pulled out a notebook, wrote 3 things. Stop freelancing small stuff, pitch bigger outlets, get in shape, build a real career, not just assignments that barely pay rent. I didn't care about revenge. I just didn't want to be the guy they laughed at. 2 days later, I signed up for a journalism workshop at the community college. It wasn't cheap, but it offered real connections with editors. Monday morning, I filed a zoning story for a small paper. Ben and Daisy stayed silent. Chris sent, "Hope there's no hard feelings, man." I ignored it. That same week, my car died on the way to an interview. Transmission gone. I sold my old camera, my first real one, to cover rent and bus fare. After class, the instructor, a retired editor named Mr. Reed, stopped me. "Why journalism?" he asked. "Needed a change," I said. "Then take it seriously," he told me. "Build something they can't ignore." By week's end, I had no car, little money, but finally a plan. For the next class, Mr. Reed started by handing back our first small writing exercise. Mine had red ink all over it. "Too soft," he said, tapping the page when he stopped at my desk. "Facts first, then the emotion. People trust facts." I nodded. After class, he asked me what I actually wanted to do with journalism. "Bigger stories," I said. "Not just local sports and zoning meetings." Something that matters. He leaned on a desk. Then stop writing like you're scared someone might not like it, he said. The best work makes somebody uncomfortable. That stuck with me. Money got tight by the third week. Rent was due. I didn't have enough from the paper to cover it because 2 assignments fell through. Editor emailed saying they ran out of budget for freelancers this month. I looked around my apartment for what I could sell next. Ended up pawning my old laptop, the one I wrote my first published story on, and kept using the potato desktop I'd had since college. Slow, loud fan, missing one key, but it worked. Walking back from the pawn shop, I ran into Ben on the sidewalk. First time since the night everything blew up. He stopped like he expected me to say something. "Austin," he said, like we were old friends catching up. I just looked at him. He shifted his weight, hands in pockets. "Look, man, about that night," I walked past him without a word. Didn't look back. Classes at the community college got harder. Reed assigned real-world style projects. Interview 3 people about a controversial topic. Turn it into a 1,000-word piece with a clear angle. I picked a story on the city's plan to shut down a public park to build new apartments. Spent 2 days walking the neighborhood, talking to residents, a city rep, and a small protest group. Turned the piece in. Reed handed it back the next week with only 2 words written at the top. "Now this." That one felt good. At the gym that Friday, the cheapest one in town, I met someone new. Name was Marcus. Bigger guy, mid-30s. Used to play college football from the look of him. He was on the treadmill next to mine when he glanced over. "You write for the Tribune?" he asked. "Sometimes," I said. He nodded. "Read your piece on the park thing." "Not bad." That's all he said. But next time I saw him, he was benching twice my max weight and asked what I was working on next. When I told him I wasn't sure, he smirked. "Figures. You don't look like you're chasing much." I didn't respond, but it stuck. By the end of the month, I was down 15 pounds from running and eating whatever was cheapest. My arms stopped looking soft. The neighbors stopped seeing pizza boxes in the trash. But the freelance work stayed inconsistent. Some weeks I had 2 articles. Some weeks none. One night after class, Reed stopped me again. "You still working for the Tribune?" "Sometimes," I said. "Sometimes doesn't cut it," he said. "Send your park story to the Chronicle. Bigger paper. They might take it. They don't know who I am." "Then make them know," he said. The next morning, I rewrote the park article, sharper this time, and sent it to the Chronicle. 2 days later, the editor replied. They'd paid double what the Tribune did and wanted more pieces. By week's end, I had a bigger publication paying me, Reed pushing me harder, and Marcus at the gym acting like I needed competition. For the first time since Daisy's little announcement, things started to feel different. Not good yet, but different. On that night, I was walking back from the bus stop carrying 2 bags of groceries when I saw her. Daisy. She was standing outside the cafe on Main Street with 2 of her friends. I could tell from the way her eyes flicked over the grocery bags, and the bus pass sticking out of my wallet that she was about to say something. "Austin," she called out like we were long-lost buddies, instead of whatever we were now. I stopped because ignoring her would have looked worse. She smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "Didn't know you still lived over on 5th? Thought maybe you'd have upgraded by now." I shrugged. "Place works fine." "Bus stop right in front, though," she said, tilting her head toward the one I'd just walked from. "Guess the car's still dead?" "Yeah," I said. "Still dead." Her friends exchanged looks like this was entertainment. Daisy went on, "Caleb just bought a used Mustang. Not new, but, you know, runs." I nodded once. Didn't give her the reaction she wanted. She crossed her arms. "So what's the plan? Still writing about Little League games for $50? I shifted the grocery bags in my hand. "For now," I said. She laughed, short and sharp. "Some things never change, huh?" I looked at her then. Really looked. Bright lipstick, loud jacket, same smug tilt to her chin. "Some do," I said finally. "Just not always the way you think." She rolled her eyes. "Whatever, Austin. Don't be so serious. It's just small talk." "Sure," I said, and walked off. The Chronicle paid me for the park story on a Friday. It wasn't much, but it was more than the Tribune ever paid. The editor ended his email with, "Send me more work if you've got it." So I spent the weekend chasing leads. Local business closing down because of rising rent. A high school coach suspended over something the school board wouldn't talk about. A neighborhood complaining about late-night construction. I wrote fast. No fancy words. Just facts, quotes, and tight sentences. Sent 3 pieces by Sunday night. Monday morning, the Chronicle ran one of them on their site. I saw my byline at the top and just stared at it for a second. Felt like the first brick in something bigger. At the gym that afternoon, Marcus was already there. Big guy, never skipped a day, always had this half smirk like he knew something you didn't. "You look less like a reporter today," he said while loading plates onto the bar. "Not sure what that means," I told him. He nodded at my arms. "Means you're actually putting in work." He benched 3 plates like it was nothing. I stuck with 1. Between sets, he asked, "You write anything real yet? Or just park stories?" I told him about the business closing, the school coach thing, the Chronicle picking one up. He nodded. "All right, let's see if you can handle more weight and more heat." That's how it started. Every day he pushed me to add 5 pounds to the bar. Every time I saw him, he asked what I was working on like it was a competition. By midweek, the Chronicle emailed again. They wanted the school coach story too. That one had taken me 3 nights. Interviews with parents, students, a frustrated assistant coach who finally told me off record the guy was accused of favoritism, not anything worse. It wasn't a huge story, but it got clicks. The editor said readers wanted follow-ups. Felt like progress. Then rent came due again. The Chronicle paid per article, not salary. Some weeks were good, some slow. I was walking everywhere, eating whatever was cheapest, trying to stretch every dollar. One Thursday, an article I sent in got killed because another paper ran something similar first. No payment, no credit. Next week, Mr. Reed gave us a new assignment. Write a profile on someone interesting in town. Not a politician or business owner. Someone regular with a story worth telling. I picked a retired firefighter named Don, who saved 3 kids from a house fire back in the 90s. Nobody had written about him in years. He lived alone now. Small house on the east side. I spent 2 afternoons with him. He showed me old photos, newspaper clippings, medals he kept in a drawer. Told me he didn't like talking about the fire much because people made it bigger than it was. "Just did my job," he said. I wrote the profile straight. No fluff, just Don. His words. His life now. The Chronicle ran it on Sunday. It got shared more than anything I'd written before. At the gym Monday, Marcus tossed me a water bottle mid-set. "Saw your firefighter thing," he said. "Not bad." "High praise," I said. He smirked. "Don't let it get to your head. You still bench like a rookie." He loaded 2 plates on my bar without asking. "Time to stop being soft," he said. I nearly failed the last rep but got it up. That same night, I ran into Liam, an old friend from college, outside the convenience store near my apartment. We hadn't talked in months. He bought a soda, asked how I was holding up. Then, like it was nothing, he said, "You hear Caleb's basically living off Daisy now? Dude's car payment is in her name. He quit his job at the bar." I shook my head. "Yeah," Liam said. "Couple people saw them arguing last weekend. Doesn't look like it's going great." I didn't ask for details, just said, "Figures," and left it there. By the end of the month, I had 5 bylines at the Chronicle, Reed telling me my writing was finally sharp, and Marcus pushing me to hit new numbers in the gym every week. But not everything landed. One story I chased, a city budget issue, fell apart when the main source stopped answering calls. Another editor rejected a piece about small businesses struggling after COVID because, in his words, readers want new angles, not old news. Some nights I sat at my desk with 3 half-finished drafts, no idea which was worth sending. One night after class, Reed stopped me on the way out again. "You pitching anything outside the Chronicle?" "Not yet," I said. "You should," he told me. "Bigger places pay better, and they'll take you more seriously if you stop writing like a freelancer grateful for scraps." He handed me a list of emails for regional magazine editors. "Pitch something worth reading," he said, then walked off. Isao. 2 weeks later, I sent out 5 pitches. Spent hours rewriting each one, keeping them short and sharp. 2 editors ignored me completely. One sent back a single line. Not a fit. But on a Tuesday afternoon, one replied, "We'll take the story on the housing protests. Deadline Friday, rate attached." The rate was 3 times what the Chronicle paid. I stayed up 2 nights finishing that piece. Talked to activists, neighbors losing apartments, even a city council member who gave me the usual "we're exploring options" line. Sent the article Thursday night. Friday morning, the editor replied, "Running this Sunday. Good work. Got anything else in the pipeline?" That was the first time someone outside my small city sounded like they actually took me seriously. "Saturday," Liam texted, and said he saw my name in the Chronicle and the magazine piece online. "Didn't know you were going this hard at journalism," he wrote. "Had to," I replied. We met for coffee Monday. He worked in marketing now. Knew people who needed writers for company blogs, press releases, all the boring stuff that still paid real money. "Not glamorous," he said, "but it pays better than newspapers." I told him to send contacts my way. Rent was still a problem every month. I wasn't turning anything down. Midweek, the magazine article went live. It wasn't front-page material, but it got shared more than anything I'd written so far. A city podcast even mentioned it in passing. Reed brought it up in class. "That's how you do it," he said, tossing the printed article onto my desk. "Clear reporting. No fluff. Keep that up." He told the rest of the class to read it before next week. First time I felt like maybe I wasn't wasting my time there. At the gym, Marcus started training with me instead of just talking trash. He never said it directly, but I think he respected the work. "2 plates for reps today," he said one evening, racking weights like it was nothing. No excuses. I hit them. Afterward, he said, "You still writing about small stuff? Working on bigger pitches?" I told him. "Good," he said. "Start moving like it." That was the longest sentence he'd ever said to me. Liam came through with the marketing contacts. 2 small businesses needed website copy. Boring work, yeah, but they paid fast. I knocked both out in a weekend. By the end of the month, I had money for rent, groceries, and even paid off the mechanic to tow my dead car off his lot, because I wanted to figure out whether to fix it or junk it. Still couldn't afford to fix it, but at least it wasn't sitting there like a reminder anymore. Meanwhile, Daisy started posting less. Not that I checked directly, but mutual friends posted pictures from group events. She wasn't in them. One night, Maya, who hadn't spoken to me since that night at the booth, sent a short message. "For what it's worth, I didn't laugh at you. Not everyone agreed with what happened." I didn't reply. No point opening that door. Then Reed hit us with the biggest assignment yet. A feature-length story on anything we wanted, due in a month. "Something with weight," he said. "Not fluff pieces. If it matters to you, it'll matter to someone else." I didn't have a topic yet, but I knew this was the one that could land somewhere bigger if I got it right. That assignment ended up becoming the 3rd feature I sold to the regional magazine, the one that ran just as the class wrapped up. The next weekend, Liam invited me to a charity 5K run his company sponsored. "Good networking," he said. "Business owners, media people, even a few city officials show up." I almost didn't go. My running shoes had holes in them, but I went anyway. Halfway through the run, I ended up next to a woman keeping a steady pace. Black ponytail, focused look. Barely glanced my way until we hit the water station. "You're the reporter, right?" she asked. I nodded. "Read your housing story," she said. "You made the council look like idiots." "Wasn't hard," I told her. She smirked. "Name's Aaron. I handle comms for a nonprofit. We need someone who can write like that." We swapped numbers before the finish line. "And Daisy?" Heard from Liam she and Caleb broke up. Apparently, Caleb had been seeing someone else the whole time. Liam told me about it casually, like it was just another piece of small-town gossip. He said Daisy and Caleb had split a few weeks back. Apparently, Caleb wasn't the one-woman type. He'd been seeing someone else almost the entire time he was with her. A bartender from another place. A yoga instructor. Maybe even one of Daisy's own friends, depending on which rumor you believed. Liam said Daisy looked different lately. Quit posting pictures, stopped showing up to parties. Someone saw her working extra shifts at the cafe where she used to brag about leveling up her life. I listened, nodded once, then changed the subject. Because honestly, I didn't feel bad. Not because I wanted her to hurt. Not because I wanted revenge. It was just empty. Like watching the credits roll on a movie you didn't care about anymore. Whatever Caleb did, whatever mess Daisy was standing in now, none of it had anything to do with me anymore. That door was locked months ago. Didn't feel anything at all. 2 weeks after the charity run, Erin texted me. Her nonprofit needed someone to cover a fundraiser and write the post-event piece for their site and donors. It paid decently, and more importantly, she said city officials and local business owners would be there. I took the job. The event was at a downtown community center on a Thursday night. I interviewed organizers, a city councilwoman, and a small business owner who donated half the raffle prizes. Erin moved through the crowd like she knew everyone. At the end, she introduced me to the director of a local arts foundation, who said they needed someone to write quarterly newsletters. "Send me some samples," he said, handing me a card. That's how it started snowballing. The same week, the magazine that ran my housing protest story accepted another pitch. This one about small-town newspapers shutting down. They gave me 2 weeks to file it. Reed pulled me aside after class when he heard. 2 weeks? That's a real deadline, he said. Get interviews lined up fast. Don't miss it. I didn't. Called editors at 3 different local papers. Got quotes about budget cuts, shrinking staff, and the death of print. Wrote the whole piece in 4 days. The magazine ran it on their front page Monday morning. Liam texted me that afternoon. "Dude, you're everywhere lately," he wrote, followed by a screenshot of the article on Facebook with 100 shares. I wasn't everywhere. But it was the first time people outside my small circle were actually reading my work. The Chronicle emailed the next day, asking if I could do a weekly column on local issues. Low pay, but steady. I said yes. Steady work meant rent got paid without panic every month. And the marketing clients Liam introduced kept sending projects too. Product descriptions, press releases, blog posts. Boring, yeah. But it covered groceries while the journalism side grew. One Saturday afternoon, I was at a coffee shop working on the first column when Erin stopped by. Didn't think reporters actually lived in coffee shops, she said, setting her drink down across from me. Freelancers do, I told her. She laughed. Our director liked your fundraiser piece. Wants to keep you around for future events. Pays better than what we gave you last time. I nodded. I'll take it. She glanced at my laptop screen. What's this one about? City bus routes getting cut next month. Riveting stuff, she said, smirking. Somebody's got to write it. The following week, the Chronicle ran my first column with my name in big bold letters at the top, not buried on page 5 like most local stories. That night, Maya sent a message for the first time since everything blew up months ago. Saw your column. Congrats, I guess. I didn't reply. End of the month, Reed told me a regional journalism conference wanted panelists for a discussion on local reporting in the digital age. He suggested my name. They're expecting professionals, I said. You've got bylines in 3 publications and a column, he replied. Stop acting like you're not one. I said yes before I could overthink it. At the gym, Marcus laughed when I told him about the panel. Public speaking. Bet you freeze up. Probably, I said. Then practice, he told me, adding weight to my bar again. Nobody respects the guy who chokes when it counts. 2 days later, Erin invited me to another networking event. This one, a small dinner with nonprofit directors and local business owners. I almost said no because I had 2 deadlines, but Liam told me I'd be an idiot to skip it. So I went. Sat between a guy who ran a youth sports program and a woman who owned 3 coffee shops. Both needed writing help for grant proposals and websites. Both handed me cards before dessert. Erin grinned across the table. Told you this was worth your time. Money stopped being tight for the first time in years. I bought new running shoes, replaced my cracked phone screen, even picked up groceries without checking my bank balance first. One night, I ran into Chris, the quiet one from the old friend group, at a gas station. Man, he said, you've been busy. Ben said you're like blowing up or something. Something like that, I told him. He nodded. For what it's worth, I stayed out of that whole thing with Daisy. Didn't seem right. Appreciate it, I said, then left. That weekend, Liam sent me a screenshot from Instagram. Someone posted a picture from a coffee shop where my column was taped to the wall next to the register. Caption said, finally, local news worth reading. Under it, I saw Daisy's name in the likes. The journalism panel was on a Thursday evening at a small conference center downtown. Nothing huge, maybe 60 people in folding chairs and a cheap banner behind the table that said, Local Voices in a Digital World. I got there early. The moderator handed me a name card that said Austin Hale, freelance journalist. Seeing my name on that card felt weird. A year ago, I was barely scraping by writing about zoning meetings for a paper that paid $20 an article. Now people wanted to hear me talk about local reporting like I actually knew what I was doing. The other panelists were older. One guy from a regional paper, a woman who ran an independent news site, and a journalism professor from the state university. I was the youngest by at least 10 years. The moderator asked about funding problems for local news, the impact of social media, all the standard stuff. When it was my turn, I kept it simple. People want stories that feel real, I said. Not press releases dressed up as news. If you cover City Hall, talk to the people who actually live with the decisions being made. Readers trust you when you stop talking like a politician. A few heads nodded. The professor even smiled. After the panel, some college students came up asking about freelancing. One guy wanted to know how to pitch magazines. Another asked if it was worth it. I gave them Reed's advice. Write like it matters, then send it to people until somebody finally reads it. I was packing up my notes when I saw her. Daisy. She was standing near the door, hair shorter than before, wearing a plain gray jacket instead of the bright stuff she used to post online. She waited until the students left before walking over. Austin, she said, like we were old friends bumping into each other at the grocery store. I just looked at her. Can we talk? She asked. About what? She hesitated. I read some of your stuff. You're doing really well. I nodded. Didn't say anything. I wanted to tell you I'm sorry, she said finally. For that night, for everything. I glanced at the moderator still packing up cables nearby. Not the place, I told her. Then maybe coffee sometime? I shook my head. I'm busy. Her shoulders slumped like she expected that answer, but hoped for something else. Caleb and I aren't together anymore, she added quietly. Not my business, I said. She opened her mouth like she wanted to explain, but didn't. After a moment, she just nodded and left. 2 days later, Ben texted for the first time since everything blew up months ago. Yo, man, heard about the panel. That's huge. We should catch up sometime. I stared at the message for a second, then closed it without replying. That weekend, Erin's nonprofit held another event. This one a fundraiser dinner at a hotel ballroom. She asked if I could cover it for their site. The place was nicer than anywhere I'd been in months. Round tables with white tablecloths, people in suits, the kind of crowd that actually had money to donate. During dinner, Erin introduced me to a guy named Trevor, who ran a regional business magazine. He said they needed freelancers for profiles on entrepreneurs and small companies. Paid better than the newspaper work. Send me some clips, he said, handing me his card. Another door opening. They started by running the 3 profiles as a kind of trial column, just to see if readers cared. Monday at the gym, Marcus was already halfway through his sets when I showed up. Someone told me you were on a panel, he said between reps. Yeah, I told him. He smirked. So now you're the face of journalism or something? Hardly. He racked the bar and looked at me. Good. Means you can still push weight instead of talking about it. We hit a new PR on bench that night. 2 plates and a 25 on each side. He spotted but didn't help. Tuesday morning, Erin texted me. Saw your panel online. Looks solid. You ever think about doing public speaking full-time? I hadn't. Writing was one thing. Talking in front of people was different. Before I could reply, another message came through. This one from Daisy. I know you don't want to hear from me, but I was proud seeing you up there. Really proud. I set my phone face down and kept typing the article due that afternoon. End of the week, Liam invited me to a birthday party at a bar downtown. Said some of the old crew would be there. I almost didn't go, but figured one drink wouldn't kill me. Ben was there. So was Maya. Neither said anything for the first half hour. Then Ben finally walked over holding 2 beers. Look, he said, I was an idiot that night. Thought it was funny until it wasn't. Should have had your back. I didn't take the beer. Appreciate the apology, I said, but I've got nothing to say about any of that anymore. He nodded like he knew I wouldn't forgive him in one conversation. Maya came over later. For what it's worth, she said. I never thought you'd actually come out ahead after all that. Yeah, I told her. Neither did they. 2 days later, Daisy showed up at my apartment. I was heading out to the gym when I saw her standing by the stairs. Please, Austin, she said before I could walk past. 5 minutes. That's all. I crossed my arms. Go ahead. She looked nervous, like this wasn't how she planned it. I thought I wanted something exciting. Caleb was exciting, but he was also a liar, and broke, and apparently had 3 other exciting things going on at the same time. I didn't say anything. I messed up, she continued. I see that now. You were building something real, and I was too stupid to see it. I glanced at my watch. Time's up. She looked like she wanted to cry, but didn't. Is there any chance? No, I said. You ended that night when you made it a show. There's nothing left to talk about. She nodded slowly. Okay. I walked past her without another word. And the journalism workshop ended the same week the regional magazine ran my 3rd feature. Mr. Reed handed me my final project back with no red ink this time. You figured it out, he said simply. I told him about the steady work coming in, the conference panel I'd spoken at, the nonprofit contracts through Erin, and the regional magazine offering regular assignments now. He nodded. Keep going. Don't stop just because it's good enough right now. That was the last time I saw him in class. 2 days later, I met with Trevor, the business magazine editor Erin introduced me to. He wanted profiles on 3 local entrepreneurs for the next quarter. Paid better than anything else I was doing. We like your style, he said. Direct, no fluff. Send the first one in a month. The same afternoon, the Chronicle doubled my column rate. Ad revenue had gone up since my bus route story, and they wanted me to stay. For the first time in years, I wasn't living month to month. I moved out of the 5th Street apartment into a small 1-bedroom closer to downtown. Nothing fancy, but clean, quiet, and mine. News about Daisy and Caleb came through Liam as always. By the time Caleb left Daisy, everyone already knew. He took her car, burned through her money, then disappeared with some girl from the gym. What hit harder wasn't him leaving. It was what came after. Liam said Daisy was back living with her sister. Stopped posting pictures. Stopped showing up to parties. People who once laughed with her didn't invite her anywhere now. Nobody likes sitting next to regret when they're trying to have a good time. I didn't ask for details. Didn't need to. After the trial run, the business magazine made the column permanent, assigning me new entrepreneurs every month. Aaron's nonprofit offered a year-long contract for writing and media work. The Chronicle gave me their feature slot twice a month. The feature slot came on top of the weekly column, not instead of it, which meant steady work plus room for bigger stories. One night after class, Reed told me, "This is what happens when you stay focused. The noise burns out. The work doesn't." He was right. 6 months after the night at the booth, I got asked to speak at a second event, this time the Regional Journalism Conference, much bigger than the first panel. Reed was there, Aaron too, even Trevor from the magazine. The room had triple the people, actual press badges, and a moderator who introduced me like I was somebody worth listening to. I talked about starting with nothing, about bus rides with groceries when the car was dead, about small stories turning into big ones if you kept writing them. Afterward, a student asked how to begin. "Write like it matters," I told him. "Send it until someone reads it. Don't wait for perfect." YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.